Let's take two examples. One is October 7th itself, and the other is anti-Semitism. And can you elaborate on the point why both these things require an explanation that goes beyond the natural?
Yeah, Dinesh, I think both actually go hand in hand, and everyone should consider this. We have this obsession, clearly, I think that's not a stretch to use the word obsession with Israel and the Jewish people. But why? I mean, we see it play out obviously on October 7th. We see it play out just this week in New York City with calls for more October 7ths by pro-Hamas mobs demonstrating in front of Trump Tower. But why? I mean, consider this. Less than 1% of the world's total population, 0.02%, 16 million of 8 billion people are Jews. That's it. It's a minuscule people group, and the world's one and only Jewish state, only 10 million people live there, and 8 million are Jews. It's the size of the state of New Jersey. Dinesh, to put it in even starker terms, Israel is the size of the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex where I'm sitting right now. That's how tiny it is. So why this obsession? I mean, whether it's Europe, the UN, the left, the woke right, radical Islam, all obsessed with this tiny people group and this tiny piece of land. There's no rational explanation for it, and it's the world's oldest hatred. Anti-Semitism goes back 4,000 years. It continues, sadly, unabated. It seems every empire, horrific dictators, individuals, tyrants have come against the Jewish people. Why? And my sense, Dinesh, clearly is that Israel's continued existence against all odds, totally improbable odds, is really proof of God's existence. And he's a promise-keeping God. And he made an unconditional covenant with the Jewish people, the people of Israel, thousands of years ago, and he sticks to that. And if he breaks his promises to Israel, what's to say he won't break his promises to us? So at the end of the day, I think it's a hostility to the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that was at the root not only of October 7th and the massacre, but the unrelenting wave of anti-Semitism that we see playing out once again on the streets today, right here in the West, and the worst case of it since the run-up to World War II.
I mean, to drive your point home even further, you have all kinds of massacres that happen all over the world. You have tribal wars that go on in Africa. You have the persecution of Christians. And yet you have Christians in the West who are more obsessed with the Palestinians and what Israel is doing than they are about their own fellow Christians having their heads cut off by these very same radical Muslims. And you're saying that makes so little sense that one almost has to search for a kind of demonic role here. These people have been, in a sense, manipulated by the devil, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's not a stretch at all to say that, Dinesh. I think it is so irrational and unexplainable and so long-standing. Again, the cancer of anti-Semitism stretches back thousands of years. Look, the Jews, again, this tiny people group, have been blamed for the Black Death, the plague in the Middle Ages. More recently, 9/11, even Charlie Kirk's assassination. That's the new anti-Jewish conspiracy theory. Why does it always come back to this one tiny, tiny people group and now this one tiny nation? The world's eyes are fixated on Israel. And Dinesh, I don't think it's a coincidence that if you look on a map, Israel is at the very center of the world geographically. Quite literally, it is the center of the world. And Jerusalem is the center of that center. And getting biblical about it, I look at the book of Zechariah, chapter 12, verse 3, and God is very clear that he says that a day is coming when all nations will gather against Jerusalem. And all nations will be, anyone who comes against Jerusalem, the Bible says, will be cut to pieces. It says Jerusalem will become like a burdensome stone for the entire world. I think we see that again playing out in real time right now. Everyone wants a piece of Jerusalem in particular, whether, again, it's the UN, the EU, radical Islamists. It goes across the board. Everyone wants a piece of Jerusalem. Why? Maybe it's because it's God's city, where he has issued a title deed. He has literally written his name on the walls of the city of Jerusalem. I don't think any of the anti-Semitism and anti-Israel venom we're seeing, considering that, the biblical history and the biblical promises, is by coincidence.
When I first came to America around 1980, I had $500 in my pocket.
Now, if I had been frugal and not spent a penny of that money, what would it be worth? What could it actually buy now compared to what it could buy in 1980? Answer, less than $130. Why is that? Because the US government, through the Fed, is constantly printing money. When the government prints money, there's more money chasing the same amount of goods and services, so money goes down in value. Money buys less and less. Now, the Fed has been at it since 1913. That's why a dollar today can only buy what a few cents could buy in 1913. And the government continues to print oceans of money. It never stops. An ounce of gold reached a high of $850 in 1980. Now, it's worth around $3,900 an ounce. So, historically, over time, gold has gone up and up in value, and dollars have gone down and down. And what about in the last 12 months? Gold is up over 40%. I believe now is the time to find out how you can diversify your savings with gold and silver. That's why I've partnered with Goldco. They offer the best customer service for precious metals ownership. They are also the only gold dealer that offers a first-time gold buyer rebate of up to 10% in bonus silver on qualified purchases. There's no better offer out there. To learn more about how to safeguard your savings from the dollar's decline, visit dineshgold.com. Easy to remember, dineshgold.com.